kitchen and my backyard. I'm Scott, and through this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to create really delicious restaurant quality meals for yourself, your family, and your friends. And my dad is one of my biggest fans. He loves these cooking lessons that I'm doing. And I was talking to him on the phone the other day, and he said, why don't you do fried chicken? And you know what? Fried chicken is one of my favorite foods. I grew up down south, and I had some really good fried chicken my whole life. My great-grandmother Omi did really great fried chicken that we had every Christmas Eve. We had a lady that worked in our home, Mitty, who also made really good fried chicken. So I've taken those two recipes, or at least the flavors that I remember from those two recipes, and combined them into my own special recipe. So that's what we're going to be making today, is Southern fried chicken. So let's get started with Southern fried chicken. But a couple of notes I want to make before we actually begin. First off is that we're obviously in the backyard. And when I make fried chicken, I like to do it on a pretty day like this when I can actually be outside and use the side burner of my grill. It's not just for making beans and other things to go with grilled foods. You can also use it to make meals like this on pretty days. And you don't get that grease smell that you get from frying indoors. Second note is, for the chicken that I'm using, I'm only using chicken legs today. I think the dark meat of the chicken is the best when you're frying it. The legs, the thighs, and the wings. So I have 5.5 pounds of chicken legs. In this bowl I have 4.5 cups of buttermilk, and buttermilk is a key ingredient in this recipe. It gives you a really thick crust with a little bit of zip to it. I have a 1/2 cup of hot sauce. This is Louisiana brand hot sauce. You could also use Tabasco or Frank's. Any hot sauce that you prefer the flavor of could be used, but you'll need a 1/2 cup of that. You need a 1/4 cup of salt and fresh ground pepper. And it's easy. We're just going to be creating a brine here, so I'm going to add the hot sauce to the buttermilk, the salt. We're going to get all of that whisked together. You want this to be a bright orange color when it gets mixed, just like that. And quite a bit of pepper. I'm probably going to give this a good 30 grinds. It's going to give a really good flavor to it. And this chicken is going to sit in this brine for about 4 to 5 hours. You could do this overnight if you wanted to do it the night before. Mix this up, pour it over your chicken parts, and let it soak overnight. All this flavor is just going to absorb into the skin of the chicken especially, and also into the flesh of the chicken to give it the flavor that you're looking for in really delicious fried chicken. So what I'm going to do is just get this all submerged in the buttermilk. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator. Make sure you keep it cold. I'm going to keep it in the refrigerator for about 4.5 hours. I've just took the chicken out of the refrigerator. It's been in the buttermilk. And every hour or so I went in there and turned that around so everything was getting well coated so that all the chicken would absorb it equally. So I have that here. In this bowl I have 3 eggs, which I've cracked and beaten with about a 1/3 cup of water. What I'm going to do is take about 2 ladlefuls of this buttermilk mixture. Actually, we'll do 2.5. Get that in there. I'm going to whisk that up. And what we're doing here is just a standard breading procedure. So that's my egg mixture. Over here in this container, what I'm going to do is take 2 cups of all-purpose flour. To that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of ground pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. That's not garlic salt, it's garlic powder. And 1 teaspoon of salt. Take a whisk. Get all that incorporated nicely. Then what we're going to do is take our chicken. And what you do first is you take a chicken leg, shake it off just a little bit. We're going to put this into the flour mixture. Coat that well so it has a thin coating of the flour on it. Then stick that in our egg mixture. Get that dampened. Shake it off. Back into the flour. Just like that. Once it's coated nicely, we're going to put that on a rack, on a sheet pan, and when we get them all done, we'll be ready to fry them. Alright, so we're down to the very last one. As you can see, I've got the sheet pan nicely layered You want to try to keep these in one single layer, which is important. I'm going to finish this last one up, then I'm going to go inside, wash my hands, because handling raw poultry is something you want to make sure that you do very cleanly. So wash your hands after you've done this process. Then we're going to head over to the grill and start frying. So we've gotten everything breaded up. I wanted to make a couple notes about frying outdoors or indoors, just in general. First of all, I'm using an enamel cast iron pot. That's important. The cast iron actually helps it retain the heat that you're going to need to achieve frying. Temperature's another note. The number one complaint I get from people, they always ask me, you know, I try to fry and my breading falls off. The number one cause for that is that the oil is not hot enough. You want to make sure that you're frying at 375 degrees to 350 degrees. So what I do is I heat the oil, which I have, to 375 degrees. That way when I add the cold chicken to it, it will drop down to about 350 and then raise back up, so you're keeping it in that 25 degree range. So those are the most important things to note. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chicken. When I put it in, you're going to see that I'm going to put it in away from me. That's just to keep any kind of oil from splashing back on you, because it's very hot. I'm just getting that last piece of chicken in. I'm going to do about a third of this at a time. And a note to know on cooking times, dark meat will take about 12 to 14 minutes, and white meat will take about 8 to 10 minutes. So this being all dark meat, I know that it's going to take about 12 to 14 minutes, so I'm going to check it then. Let it stay at 350 degrees by adjusting the heat on the burner. So we'll let this go for about 12 minutes. It's been almost exactly 14 minutes. The chicken is looking really delicious. Our temperature is correct, which is going to assure that we have a really nice crunchy crust, which is exactly what we want. The chicken that I make, I like it to be a mahogany brown, sort of a deeper brown than what you get somewhere like a fast food chicken place that has more of a blonde color. This just shows it's a little more homemade and traditional looking. The oil, I forgot to tell you, I only fill my pot halfway with the oil, and I use canola oil. You can use peanut oil, it works just as well. You just want to use an oil with a really high smoking point, not olive oil. And the chicken is out. I'm going to continue on with these other two batches, then we'll be ready to serve it. And we're just getting this last batch of chicken out of the oil. I'm just putting this in a bowl lined with paper towels to catch any of that excess grease that tends to run off. And if you're not serving this immediately, you can put this on a sheet tray or in a pan and put it in the oven at 200 degrees and keep it until you're ready to serve it. Alright, so let's head over, we'll dish this up and get ready to eat. So here we are, fried chicken. I have it all bowled up, looking nice. I'm serving that with potato salad. Check the recipe, it's also on YouTube, and it is really good. And then some homemade pickles. This can be really simple. And you know what, I've waited long enough and I have to try a bite of this, so excuse me. The key to really good fried chicken is keeping the temperature of the oil really hot. So I hope you enjoy this. I've definitely enjoyed making it. And as always, thank you for watching. Email me if you have any questions or would like to see me demonstrate any particular type of recipe. My email address is scottindenver@msn.com. And as always, thanks again. See you soon. Bye.